Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know Enoch Burke has been protesting outside Wilson's Hospital School on and off now since 2022. And there's been a lot of, look, I know people have very mixed views about this over what he's protesting about, but I wonder what it's like for the students and the parents of the students that attend the school on a daily basis. Do they know, or do they even care? 1800 453 106, that is the number. You might have read Jonathan Safiak's comments in the Sunday Independent yesterday. He's a student at the school. He was talking about this. His mum, Annetta, is with me on the line today. Good afternoon, Annetta, and thank you for joining us here in Lunchtime Live. Just explain in general terms, how is this protest that's been ongoing for 2 years, on and off now, how is it affecting your son and other students?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Well, I suppose Jonathan, my son, expressed that very clearly in the interview with Ali Bracken. It's distressing. It's a disruption of the normal school life. And you know the way I use an expression, when somebody goes behind you and says, "Don't look," you're immediately going to look. And this is the situation when you have something going on outside the windows. You're going to look, you're going to check, you're going to be aware that it's there. So just imagine being in the classroom, having your exams, or being a teacher. The constant presence of Enoch Burke and his supporters is just very hard.
So when the protest first started, okay, back in 2022, it's actually hard to believe that it's nearly 2 years now, but when that first started, was your son Jonathan in the school at the time, Annetta?
My son joined the school in September 2023.
So he's second year student now?
Second year student now, yeah. So when we first went to Wilson's to visit the school and just make sure that it's a right choice for him, I think it was March that year, 2023, Enoch was already outside the gate. So that's how long it has been going on.
Yeah. So when Jonathan started, and the other pupils that were in his year in September 2023, last September, they wouldn't really have known what this was about or what was happening beyond what they would hear in the news or in the radio or read online.
Correct. Yeah.
And go on ahead.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know Enoch Burke from any teaching or being around staff. And the same goes for the first year that started in September 2024. And there are 2 years gone now at this stage. 2 years of students. So, Jonathan used that phrase that 50% of the students that were taught by Enoch Burke are gone. Yeah.
So he goes into school on a daily basis, and give me a typical day. What happens
Typically, well, he goes, on a bus. He's a wheelchair user, so the bus drops him by the main door, and he's greeted by his special needs assistant, and the days goes on. But he comes back from school and tells me that during the breaks, when he talks to his friends, they do discuss that, and they do talk about it because it's the main headline for the school.
Well, the school has probably never had as much publicity or been in the papers as much.
Yes, and as you know, it's not easy. The schools are there to educate young people, not to deal with media, with all due respect, or the legal system.
So when you, is your son being told, and others, I'm not just saying your son, but other pupils, are they being told by the school, don't engage with people at the gates or protesters? And I should say, by the way, by all accounts, it has been a peaceful protest. Like, I read even comments that your son mentioned in the Sunday Independent yesterday that, Enoch Burke would often wave to the students and protesters too. There's nothing to suggest in any way that it's nothing but peaceful. But the point was being made too by Jonathan Annetta that often, he and his pals in school or colleagues, his friends, students, they might be in the background of videos that are then posted on social media, or, I suppose they're accidentally shared online.
That's correct, yes. And the last time the protest was there in December last year, I could clearly see my son getting on the bus and passing through the gate on a live stream or of somebody that calls himself a journalist. So, that's not okay, and that shouldn't be happening. There are other people, there are teachers, there are other additional staff who use their cars, the registrations numbers and the cars. It can be identifiable, for people. So I don't think it should be allowed, really. I understand there is a right to protest for everyone, but maybe not in such a close proximity to schools and young people.
That people shouldn't be allowed to protest that near the vicinity of the gates of the school where you can visibly see people entering and exiting the school gates.
And, some of these people do enter the school itself and the mount speaking to, principals and teachers and whoever. So it's not... I don't think it's okay.
Does your son talk about this much when he comes home?
Not much, but then again, you have to remember that Jonathan is a proper teenager. He's 15 now, so there is not a topic that Jonathan talks much about.
Yeah.
But he did mention that he's very in tune and. He reads the room well, if you know what I mean. So when we have a moment and we discuss school life, he does bring it up. And certainly last time in December, he was not happy about, about the number of phones that he could see that were recording students.
Yeah. Okay. Since the article in the Independent was published yesterday, and I know obviously Jonathan was quoted in the paper too, and Jonathan's obviously in class today, which is why he can't chat to us now at the moment. But Annetta, what sort of response or backlash have you had to that?
Where will I start on that? It's bad. I kind of predicted that I might get some mean comments, but currently I'm dealing with all sorts of comments, from being a bad mother that is plastering her son all over social media to death threats, bullets to my head.
You've received death threats since
Yes.
Since you yourself and Jonathan spoke out, Annetta?
Yes. A bullet to my head. A deportation order of me. I'm not going to use to quote all the bad words that I am described with, but yes, it's pretty bad. And my son is. I am an advocate for my son's rights and for his disability. However, he's growing. He's now 15, and I am aware that there is a very thin line between being Jonathan's voice and abusing his ability to speak for himself. So the decision to be in this interview was his, and Ali spoke to him in a very respectful manner. And they, I was there present in the room.
Yeah.
He said what he said. Well, obviously, I am blamed for that, but it's off the scale. Off the scale. I actually started being very anxious about being outside with people now, reading all those comments.
Oh, it's
and
absolutely
all
shocking.
those.
Did you report the death threats to the guards, Annetta?
I didn't have a chance because, it was only yesterday, but and tomorrow is a very busy day with Jonathan's medical appointments, but I will have to do that.
Yeah. Well, look, I do appreciate you talking to us and sharing your thoughts with us today on the programme. I'm sorry to hear that, that's some of the backlash, I suppose, that you've received, but pretty extraordinary. Annetta, listen, thank you for taking the time to speak to us today here on Lunchtime Live.
Would you allow me to say one more sentence?
Yes.
I would like to ask anyone, Taoiseach, politicians now and the future ones that are going to form the government, to please protect the young children from, an environment that is not really nice around the school, and also to take online abuse a bit more seriously, because it's really an issue and it impacts you everywhere.
Absolutely.
In your bedroom, in your bathroom, in your kitchen, it's everywhere.
No, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to put up with that. There's no question about that. Annetta Safiak, thank you very much for joining us. Annetta's son, Jonathan, is a student there at the Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath. Another texter here has got in touch to say, as a first-year parent, my child is a student at the school in first year. The protest has had no impact whatsoever on my child. Great school in so many ways. The email, lunchtimelive@newstalk.com.